everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Kerbal Space Program with me, Spaghettikid. I'm just going to set up everything because I'm going to be launching my moon lander, and hopefully we'll be able to get to the moon and have enough fuel to get back, I think. Although actually, saying that, I haven't got any parachutes, so we're not going to be returning to Kerbin. So we're just going to get to the moon, and we could potentially dock with something and just stay there, refuel it, and have a reusable spaceship. We do have a docking port on the top, so that's a complete possibility. So I'm just going to check. I've got prevent overheats and prevent jet flame out. We want both of those on. We also want smart ASS. We're going to go surface, change that to 0 and 90, and then click execute, and that's everything we need, I think, just for the moment. And we're also, I'm just going to quickly time accelerate because I don't want to be launching in the dark. So now I'll do that, and then throttle up. Click 2, which activates all my radial jet engines, and check they're all going, which they are. Throttle up completely, and I've got to be careful that when I click spacebar I don't start falling back down because I may not have enough thrust. So I'm just going to wait a bit for all my jet engines to start working. And as you can see, I'm falling down, so I'm just going to quickly click 1, which activates my mainsail, and I'm just going to use that to get up to speed. However, I don't want to use it too much, because if we don't need to. So this might be quite a long video, as it does take about half an hour, I think. I'm not quite sure, to get to the moon of real time, unless you're just very efficient with landings and getting to the right sides of the moon and stuff. Because you don't want to be landing when it's completely dark, because you can't see your shadow, so you don't know how high you are, basically. So I'm just trying to stick to my vertical speed, which I can actually click on surface info. I want my vertical speed to be about 100, because otherwise you're just going to be going too fast and making your engine run inefficiently. I'm also just going to click 30, and I'm going to rotate myself 60 and then 90. We just want to be facing sideways so we can travel round, basically. Oh, just realised I've left my mainsail on. Oops. We should still be okay. But it was a bit silly, we've now used an awful lot of fuel. Okay, so now we're at about 11,000, preferably earlier than this. We're just going to start turning. Ooh, I don't know what I've done. That was a bit silly. Almost. So I want to keep myself kind of going sideways, and our jets were just about to flame out, so just disable them, sorry. And now you can see our apparatus is getting further away, which is good. We are now kind of getting into an orbit. And hopefully we'll be able to get to the moon. I think we can. I'm pretty sure we can. And in some ways I actually know we can, because I've built a very similar ship to this. It's basically the same, but very slightly different. And I think we should be perfectly fine. Ooh. Forgot to remove those. A little bit silly. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to very slowly reduce my angle, and all that'll do is that'll help me travel extend my orbit round the Earth, round Kerbin. I'm really bad with saying the Earth and Kerbin. I get them all mixed up quite a lot. So I'll change that to about 25. And all this is going to do is extend our orbit, so we're going about 100 meters. Well, sorry, 100 kilometers. And at this point we're going to want to zoom in, add a maneuver, and just roughly circularize it. Just click on that so we can see it. We don't need it exactly circularized, so actually, just to be more efficient really, we could do that. And then we're going to want to click on node, and we're then going to point to the node. Now what I've done is I've slightly lowered my okay. So I've got one maneuver there. I'm just going to add another maneuver here, just to kind of get this all set up so I know exactly what I'm doing. And I'm just going to extend it so I can hopefully get an encounter with the moon, which I can. And what a good trick is if you can get close enough, you can click on the moon periapse, click on the maneuver, sorry, wrong maneuver, and you can just play with that and try and get your moon periapse, so you can see it's gradually reducing. You want to get that to about 20 kilometers-ish. Is about fine. It's just if you do that now, it will require very, very little. It will require a really small amount of I've completely forgot what I'm saying. It will be much more efficient to change your moon periapse when you're here compared to when you're in the orbit, because a tiny bit of thrust here will affect your kind of direction over here an awful lot, whereas when you're right over there close to the moon, you have to use a lot of fuel in order to reduce the kind of larger bit of your orbit. So it's just more efficient. So I'm right close to where my burn is going to be, so it's about 20 seconds, which is about right, and we may or may not have enough fuel, so hopefully we will. I'm just going to make sure we can get this burn done, and hopefully we can do it without running out of this tank, which is going to run out. So I'm just going to have to undock that fuel tank, and now we're running on these two engines. Now the problem we have now is that we're a lot less powerful with these two engines. They're not bad. They produce 60 thrust each, which isn't that bad. However, it's not fantastic. So compared to the mainsail, for example, I'm just going to make sure this manoeuvre is perfect because we don't want to mess up everything. However, the one advantage of having really low powered engines is that you don't have to fiddle around lots to get your orbit perfectly, because you can thrust a tiny bit, and that tiny bit of thrust that you can provide with these engines, small amount in comparison to a mainsail, still not bad though. Will be really kind of good at a long distance, so sorry, it's a lot more efficient, and because it's low powered you will be able to very accurately change your like the small details of your maneuvers. So a mainsail, you can't change like 0.1 of a meter per second. It's very, very hard to use a mainsail to do to do very small maneuvers. So having small powered engines is actually very useful. So now we're just gonna I'm just gonna make sure I'm lined up with my node, and then I'm just gonna time accelerate to the node. Well, I'm not. I've just realised it's actually a very long node, and it's going to take us an awfully long time. Which is silly of me. I kind of time accelerated too quickly. I should have started much further back. But hopefully, we'll still be able to get an encounter. We will be able to get an encounter. We're just going to have to make sure. Just line myself up. We're just going to have to make sure we kind of are careful that we get the periapse as low as possible. So I'm just going to save, because we can't save because we're accelerating. So I'll try and remember to save just so we don't mess things up, which has been known to happen in my recordings of Kerbal Space Program. You will not have seen that, but I've had several problems and things where I've been recording and I've accidentally clicked F9 in order to reload the save, which in Fraps F9 is also allocated to stop recording and start recording, which means I've just, without realising, stopped recording, done things and been like, oh no, I've just recorded 20 minutes that hasn't recorded. But anyway, ignoring that, you can see our maneuver is, our apoapsis is getting gradually larger. You want to be aiming to have your maneuver kind of lined up. It's almost 90 degrees, so 90 degrees would be about there, but it's slightly less than that. But you can play around with the maneuver when you create the maneuver node. Just create the maneuver and fiddle around with it. Oh, I'm not quite sure what I've just done. That's dodgy. Let's just do this again. Click on Periapse. I'll just do it so you can see it again. Periapse. Okay. We're just going to do it without a maneuver, because we can. We'll just have to make sure we do it very carefully. So, we can do it manually, sort of. As soon as we get an encounter, which is like that, we're then going to change a couple of things. So we're going to click on Moon Periapse. So the more we thrust, you can see our periapse is getting lower and lower. And as I said, we want that about 20. It's about there. So if I also click on the moon and click set as target, you can also see this is our node. So it's a descending node, so I'm going to want to click normal, which will point us upwards. And then I'm just going to time accelerate to the node. And actually I'm going to click on rendezvous planner, and that will show us our relative inclination. So just so we can make sure we don't kind of mess up. And go there. And what this is going to do, just turn on RCS, I'm very... Yeah, that's fine. Now we can turn off RCS and go point prograd. So we've only used one monoprop, because it's very efficient having only one set of thrusters, RCS thrusters, sorry, because instead of having them like there and there and there and there and there, yes, that'll turn you quicker and you get faster control, but to do a small kind of adjustment would use a lot of fuel. Anyway, the changing of our sorry, if I put normal I can show you. Turn on RCS. You can basically change the skewness of your maneuver. So occasionally you'll notice that you might be going in an orbit that's a polar orbit, so you're either coming in underneath or above the moon. But you can see here we're fairly flat, but we're still not completely flat. You can see the orange line is kind of, yes, it's skewy here, but on the kind of flat plane it's also skewy. Now all you have to do is, if you set moon as your thing, as I said, you can go to, not maneuver planner, rendezvous planner, and you can see your relative inclination. And this is our descending node, so all I need to do is try and get that like there. As long as that's 0 you should be fine. And now I can time accelerate.